This is homework 3, Math 122, and I'm going to help you with problem 12. Okay, on your worksheet you can see that the table is already there for us for graphing the function g of x equals 4 minus x squared. We can also see the graph. So what I'm going to help you do is figure out how this table was created. So I'm going to go to a separate sheet of paper here, and I'm going to recopy the function. Again, this is number 12. G of x equals 4 minus x squared. So when you are graphing a quadratic function like this one, or any function, what you're going to do is arbitrarily pick some x values, some inputs, and then put that input into the equation and find the output. Now, what we usually use for inputs are the values -2 through +2, or -3 through +3. So you can kind of see what's going on in the function around 0, 0. These are usually some key places to graph. You don't have to use those values, but they usually are easy to put into the function and usually tell us what we want to know about how that graph looks. So I'm going to recopy that table here, and I'm going to show you how those values were input into the function to get the outputs you see in the table. So I'm going to show my work off to the side here. I'm going to start with g of -2. So in other words, I am telling myself I'm going to input -2 into the equation wherever x is. On this side I don't really do anything. This is just a placeholder telling me what I'm going to put into the function. On the other side, I'm going to put a -2 where x is. Now watch how I do this. Anytime I'm inputting a value into the busy side of an equation, I use parentheses. Sometimes you don't need them, but in this case I really do need them, and you'll see why in just a second. So notice I wrote 4 subtract, there's the subtraction sign, and what am I subtracting from 4? I'm subtracting -2 to the second power. These parentheses this time are really, really important, because to calculate this I'm going to go 4 subtract, oh wait a second, what is -2 times itself? Well, -2 times -2 is +4. This amount here will end up being +4. So we will get 4, that's this 4, subtract the 4 when we multiply -2 by itself, -2 squared. If you try this in your calculator, you don't use the parentheses, your calculator will tell you the wrong thing. It will tell you -4. But you know that this is really -2 times -2, which is a +4. Alright, and 4 minus 4 is 0. So the input -2 gives the output 0. Now we do this again, but this time for -1. So g of -1, 4 subtract -1 squared this time. I'm kind of running into my other problem, so I'm going to rewrite this down here. 4 subtract -1 squared, g of -1. Again, order of operations says tells me I need to do exponents first. So I'm going to raise -1 to the second power. That's -1 times -1. And a negative times a negative is a +1. So I will have 4 subtract +1. It is not a -1 anymore. And that's going to give me 3. So when I input -1, I get the output 3. Now 0 is really easy to put into the equation. G of 0, 4 minus 0 squared. Well, 0 squared is just going to be 0. 4 minus 0 is 4. Input 0, output 4. And now g of 1 equals 4 minus 1 squared. 1 times itself is 1, so we get 4 minus 1 is 3. And when we put 2 in, 4 minus 2 squared, again we do the exponent first. 2 to the 4th power is 4. And just like up here, we're going to get 4 minus 4 again, which is 0. Now the interesting thing about graphing parabolas is you will see a pattern. And that pattern, when we graph it, makes that U shape. This problem starts to increase and then turns around and then goes back down for the output. So taking a look at graphing it, -2, 0, left 2, up 0. -1, positive 1, 2, 3, 0, 3, and then 1, 1, 2, 3, and 2, 0, right 2, up 0. I do prefer you use graph paper when you make your graphs, and if you don't have any, go ahead and print some up. Your graphs will turn out much better on graph paper.